Hello guys, welcome to day 3 of building your basics for 2024 preliminary examination. This is day 3 of polity session. Here we'll be discussing about the basic features of Indian Constitution. There are multiple important features of Indian Constitution. In this session, you will be having an aerial view or an bird's eye view of what is Indian Constitution is all about. Let's go to the first feature of Indian Constitution. The first feature of Indian Constitution is nothing but it is the lengthiest constitution. Indian Constitution took almost 2.5 years, almost 3 years to get completed. Jan 26, 1950. The original document had 395 articles and 22 parts. Okay, this is because we have to bring in lots of provisions from different countries' constitution, and also the geographical expansion of India demanded that this should be a very big constitution, and also the historical perspective, because we have been governed by Britishers for almost 2 centuries, and their policy of governance has also been adopted into our constitution. Okay, so this made the Indian Constitution as the lengthiest constitution in the world. The second feature that has to be taken into account is drawn from various sources. This has been discussed in the day 2 of the session. I'm going to give the link of the day 2 session over here. You can just check through it and have a revision of day 2, where the various sources of the constitution for India constitution has been taken. Okay, the third feature is nothing but the blend of rigidity and flexibility. Okay, so what is rigid and flexible? Okay, rigid is something which is strong, which is very difficult to change, and flexible is something, the feature where it can be easily changed or amended according to our will and wishes. Indian Constitution has both these features of rigidity as well as flexibility. There are few rigid features where only the special majority has to be taken into account to pass the law. There are few features where just a simple majority can help us to make an amendment in the constitution. Okay, this helps us to take in both the features of rigidity as well as flexibility into Indian Constitution. The next feature of Indian Constitution that has to be taken into account is the federal system with unitary bias. Okay, if you see, the system of federal has been adopted from USA. Okay, if you see USA, it's on the whole it's a country, but there are 50 states within USA. That's why it's called as United States of America. But in India, we though are a whole as a nation, we also have states within us. Okay, like Punjab, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and likewise it goes on. Within the states we have administration, and on the whole we also have the central government. If you see within Indian Constitution, even though we have state governments, the union government is more powerful. That's the reason why it says that the federal system with unitary bias. Even in the before session we said that there are union list as well as the state list and concurrent list. If you see the number of union lists, it will be dominating the state list, which directly says that union government has more power in Indian Constitution. The next feature which has to be seen is the parliamentary governance. The parliamentary governance is being adopted from the British Constitution. That's the reason why it's also called as the Westminster model. In parliamentary governance, there is the coordination and cooperation between the legislature as well as the executive. This is the basic bedrock of parliamentary governance. This parliamentary governance also helps in make sure that the accountability is held on the executive by the legislature. We'll also be seeing in detail when we see the different important offices like President, Prime Minister, Chief Minister, how the parliamentary government model is implemented or is being used in Indian Constitution. The next feature that we have to be taken into account is the parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. It's an interlink. Okay, parliamentary sovereignty says that Parliament has a power to make changes in the laws. Okay, it has the power to keep the executives accountable. This is called parliamentary sovereignty. This feature has been taken from Britain Constitution. The judicial supremacy has been taken from American Constitution concept, where the judicial system has its own power. it has the power to question the laws. The next feature that we are going to see is the integrated and the independent judiciary. Okay, in judiciary we have sets of levels of judiciary. Say for example, in the top level we have the Supreme Court. This is called the apex court, and we have in the next level as the high courts, and then we have the subordinate courts. All these works in an integrated level and also in an independent way. The independence of the judiciary is made sure by various provisions of the constitution. Say for example, the expenses of the Supreme Court or High Court has been charged on the consolidated fund, which makes that this budget need not be discussed in parliament. And second thing is, the proceedings of a Supreme Court cannot be discussed within state legislature or a parliament. So this kind of provision has ensured that the independence of the judiciary is upheld. The next feature that has to be taken into account is the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights has been incorporated into Indian Constitution in part 3, and the idea of fundamental rights has been taken from the American Constitution, right? The fundamental rights in Indian Constitution, it's not absolute, okay, but however, fundamental rights, if it is violated, if a citizen is denied a fundamental right, he can directly approach a Supreme Court. But however, as I said before, it is not absolute. It can be withheld during the emergency provisions. The fundamental rights can be curtailed. Okay, let's see the next provision, which is very, very important, which is nothing but the DPSP, the Directive Principles of State Policies. Within DPSP, there are 3 different categories where it is not directly given in the constitution, but we have classified according to the ideology: the socialist ideology, the liberal ideology, the Gandhian ideology. Okay, DPSP is a governance path where the government has to take forward during the process of lawmaking, taking the developmental path of the country. Okay, the next feature that has to be taken into account is the fundamental duties. Fundamental duty, though it was not in the original constitution which was enforced in 1950, it was included into our constitution through an amendment act, that is 42nd Amendment Act 1976, through Swaran Singh Committee's recommendations. Fundamental duties gives a set of duties that the citizen should perform. Then comes the secular state. Secular state is one of the important feature of Indian Constitution. We have mentioned the term secular in our preamble itself. If you go and see the preamble, secular is one of the important term that gets a mention over there. Secularism in India is little bit different when compared to the Western secular system. The Western model of secularism says that the religion and state, which is the political system, will be totally different. The one religion will not enter into politics, and politics will not enter into religion. This is the Western concept of secularism. But Indian form of secularism is slightly different, where we give equal importance for every religion and no religion is left apart. This is the form of Indian secularism. Okay, we will be discussing in detail about secularism, because secularism topic has been very, very favorite topic for UPSC, both in prelims as well as in mains. The next feature that has to be discussed is the universal adult franchise. It is nothing but the voting rights that the constitution has given, right? During the British rule, the voting right was not given to everyone, but Constitution, when the stalwarts of Indian Constitution made sure that we should give universal adult franchise, the Indian Constitution gives a person who is above 18 years can vote. This is the kind of voting rights that is given by the Constitution. Earlier it was 21 years where a person gets a right to vote. Right? After that, during 1986 amendment, it was made as 18 years. It was reduced. The age was reduced. Okay, this is also one of the important features of the Indian Constitution. Then comes the single citizenship. Citizenship is one of the feature that Constitution has given to all the citizens of India. Okay, if you speak about citizenship in India, a person can hold only single citizenship. That is, if he is an Indian citizen, he is only Indian citizen. He cannot be a citizen of India as well as citizen of another country. If he wants to get citizenship of another country, he has to give up Indian citizenship. But this is not the case of American citizenship. It has dual citizenship. It doesn't mean that he can be a citizen of India as well as citizen of USA. It means that there the citizenship of country, that is he belongs to USA, and also this citizenship of a state. Say if there is a person lives in California, he is a citizen of the state California and he is also citizen of USA. Okay, this is all about single citizenship feature which is given in Indian Constitution. The next comes independent bodies. There are several independent bodies which has powers within Constitution. Say for example, Election Commission, the Union Public Service Commission, the State Public Service Commission, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. All these are independent bodies which have constitutional powers as well. Okay, these bodies has their own roles and functions, and they perform and make sure that roles and responsibilities are fulfilled. Okay, the next feature of the Indian Constitution is the emergency provisions. The emergency provisions, it has three categories. Okay, the national emergency, the state emergency, and the financial emergency. The provisions of national emergency has been spoken in the Article 352 and henceforth. The provisions of the state emergency has been spoken from Article 356. Okay, in the financial provision, the financial emergency provisions has been spoken from the Article 360. Why I'm speaking about the article numbers is sometimes the article numbers are also asked in preliminary examination. So make sure that if you have these numbers in your mind, it will be pretty helpful to crack few preliminary questions as well. Okay, the last feature that he has to take into account is the three-tier government. Actually, we had union government as well as state government in the original constitution, but according to the 73rd and the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, we brought in the Panchayat Raj institutions and the urban local bodies. These two bodies were given constitutional status with the help of 73rd and the 74th Amendment Act. So all these features makes Indian Constitution a unique one, where none other country has all these different features imbibed into Indian Constitution. Okay, and from exam point of view, these features has very important role in solving your questions and answers in preliminary examination. Okay guys, I hope this day 3 session was very much helpful. If you have any questions, you can just drop me in the comment section and wait for the day 4 session. It will be very useful. And if you're loving my content, you can just subscribe to my channel and it's going to be helpful for your preparation. Thank you.